orientation. Yeah, my name is Galvin Ngo. I'm currently the director of the Ateneo Salt Institute. And thank you very much for spending some time with us today. No? We know that the course is highly asynchronous, but we thought of beginning your course taking with a synchronous session like this so that we can level of expectations, clarify expectations as well. And if there are some things that are getting in the way of you starting at the moment, we'd like to begin to deal with them so that your course taking will be smooth sailing in the next few weeks. So, sorry about the, yeah, I think I got the date right. So for today, we just have the following agenda. We'll begin with a short introduction to the ADL. I've invited Father Johnny Go to speak to us, albeit asynchronously, no, because we need to bilocate. There are many things happening at the moment. He's actually in another meeting. So I had him record a very brief introduction for everyone, which I will build on after. No? And then we'll talk a little bit about the format of the course. I know that a lot of you here are new faculty or some have taught previously. No? But just in case some of you are not so familiar with how the ADL course looks like, it would be good to give you an overview. No? So if you've already read the study guide, that I think gives you a detailed view as to what to expect. But just the same, I'd like to walk you through it briefly so that everyone is on the same page. And then just some announcements about getting on Canvas. I know that not everyone is on Canvas yet. That's something that we'll continue to work on until next week. No? And then before we close or before we end with the Q&A, I'll be introducing the coaches for the sections. No? So there are around 117 of you taking this course in this cohort. We've divided you into two sections, and we've also assigned two coaches for every section who will be learning with you in the next 8 weeks. So if you haven't checked the schedule, yes, we will be together in the next 8 weeks, albeit mostly asynchronously. All right, so maybe we can begin with Father Johnny. So here's a short introduction to the ADL from Father Johnny, which I think really situates the course for us.
So this is what adaptive design for learning is all about. Sana po ituring yung parang convenience store to. You can choose whatever ideas, whatever tips, whatever strategies you think will be useful for your students in your school. What we have done is that we have conducted our research, we have consulted with experts, and we've put together all the best ideas that we can use during this time of the pandemic as we are shifting to online learning. So siguro very briefly, I just want to give you maybe 4 big ideas, no? And we will keep going back to this during the course. No? The very first one, of course, is something kind of obvious, but it's good for us to remind ourselves. No? It's all about our learners. No? So it's not so much about technology. No? Hindi to parang pasikatan sa technology. That technology is only a means. No? It's all about our learners, but it's important for us to take into consideration the well-being of our students. No? Kasi kung mentally stressed sila, hindi sila matututo. So we have to meet them where they are. So that's the first big idea. Our students are important to us. Their well-being is important to us. Without well-being, they cannot learn. The second thing is, aside from their well-being, we have to be inclusive, no? Kasi kung online ang tinuturo natin, hindi lahat ng Pilipino, di ba, have reliable access to the internet. So we have to be more compassionate. No? We have to be more understanding towards our students. In fact, in Ateneo nga, even many teachers do not have reliable Wi-Fi all the time. So I'm sure you have the same situation also. So it's important to be understanding towards our students. No? The second big idea, very briefly, is it's not so much about the delivery, kung online or modular or whatever. It's about the design. So adaptive design for learning will teach you how to design your courses more effectively. Whether you do it online, whether you do it in a modular fashion, or even when you're back face-to-face. So parang investment po to. No? Kahit na wala na pong pandemic, sana po matapos yung pandemic as soon as possible, sana po makabalik na tayong lahat sa paaralan, no? Pati mga estudyante natin. Whatever we learn here will also make us better teachers in the traditional classroom. So I'm really excited about what you will learn, no, from this course. No? And the third big idea is it's more about designing the learning, no? So this is the main art that we want you to master, no? What is the art of designing the learning? Kasi kadalasan po, ang tukso sa atin when we go online or modular, we just dump content. Parang ipapasa na lang natin lahat sa mga students natin, lahat ng mga readings, lahat ng mga videos, lahat ng mga homework. Ayaw po natin ng ganun kasi po ma-overwhelm mga students natin. There is an art called learning design. And I'm hoping that through this course, you will be able to learn a little bit of that, no? So that you can apply it not only to online learning or modular learning, but also when we're back face-to-face in the classroom. The fourth big idea is also very important. And what is that? No? It's also about our faculty and formators. It's also about you, no? Our well-being after all our hard work, no? We are very much conscious of that. We are not here to just add work to you so that you will suffer, no? We understand your context because we are in the same situation. Kami rin nahihirapan sa trabaho, no? So we are going to be very understanding. We will meet you where you are. We only ask you to engage us, especially your online coaches, no? So that you will be able to get the guidance that you will get. So yun lamang po. I'm really happy to welcome all of you to Adaptive Design for Learning. It is a course that we have offered about 3,000 teachers already, no, all around the country, including the Jesuit network of schools and universities, and also Philippine Science High School system, no, all over the country. So a lot of teachers have gone through and are going through this course, no, and we're really excited about what you will learn from the course, but also what we will learn from you. Kasi po, collaborative learning to, and we are colleagues, so we are sure we will learn from you as well. So I'd like to encourage you when there are discussions online, please feel free, no? Please participate, tell us your questions, tell us your experiences, tell us your insights. So maraming salamat po, and I'm looking, and I hope that you will learn something from our adaptive design for learning. Thank you very much, and God bless.
So thank you very
So this is
much,
what,
Father Johnny,
so this
albeit
is
this
what,
being um, asynchronous, no? So before we move on to the next part of the agenda, I just want to build on one of the things that Father Johnny mentioned, though. Actually, two things that I feel are really important to point out as you begin the ADL course. The first thing is, if you remember, Father Johnny mentioned that this is really a course about design, not just about technology. No? So obviously, technology is our platform right now. Technology is our learning environment right now because of the social distancing measures that we need to abide by. But then it doesn't mean that technology is the be all and end all of everything. As we will learn quite quickly as we get into the ADL course, it's really about designing learning. And that's really the strong focus of the ADL course, no? Which also means that if you're curious about how to build things on Canvas, on the platform, you won't necessarily get that from this course, but we will lead you to resources that might help you along those lines. No? The second thing that Father Johnny mentioned that I think is also important to highlight for us as we begin the ADL course is that context is very important, and we'll always go back to the student context. No? So in relation to that, before I move on to the next part of the agenda, I'd like to invite everyone to just head over chat and just give us a sense of your context. No? So I'll pose a question and then I'll ask you to answer it over chat just very briefly. So my question is, so how has your week been? No? And then the way you'll answer this question is with a range from 1 to 5. Okay, 1 being very light, 5 being very stressful and full. No? So just to get some context, can you please head over chat right now and give us your number, no, between 1 to 5? All right, thank you very much. No? So yeah, be honest, that's okay. We really want to see where you are so far and how you're doing, because that's very important to us. No? That's the starting point for learning, and that's one of the big ideas in the ADL. No? That if your students enter a synchronous session here with a 1, you know, parang there are some things that you can really expect, and there are some things that you cannot expect at all. No? Sige. So let me just browse through your answers. Okay, so we have a lot of 3s, 4s. Okay, so a lot of high numbers now. So the good news is it's Friday today, if in case you have not paid attention to that. And that means it's Saturday tomorrow. No? So if you don't have work tomorrow, it's time to actually rest and recuperate. So I asked that question because, and it's related to this next part of the agenda. No? So the ADL course format is like this. There are 6 modules of the ADL course. All of the modules will be done asynchronously. No? So we've designed each module to stand on its own such that you actually don't need to wait for a session like this to actually go through it. As long as you're on Canvas already, all of the modules are actually available, and you can actually enter the modules and go through the activities and content of each of the modules at your own pace. No? Now, I know that the term "at your own pace" sometimes have a positive connotation, no? Meaning you can do it at your own time, di ba? Parang, let's say after work, you want to spend some time doing it for 30 minutes every day, that's fine. Or let's say during your lunchtime, you wanna do it, no? But what we've also discovered and what we know of, but we really felt over the past year is that at your own pace is not always an advantage because that means that you will need to manage yourselves taking the modules. No? So one tip that I'd like to share with you as far as course format is concerned is that despite the fact that the modules are self-paced in nature, for you to still set aside a structure for yourself. No? So for example, in module 0, actually, this is one of the things that we ask you to think about. No? That in the next 8 weeks, no? Because we will be going through the whole course in the next 8 weeks, what is a weekly time that you can set aside in your schedule to actually go through the modules? No? So what we've found is that in the several times we've ran this course, it's important for participants to actually establish this in the beginning. No? Of course, life happens, and maybe more important things, the more urgent things happen that you'll need to deal with, and you may not be able to follow your schedule all the time. But it usually helps to identify that schedule. No? So whatever schedule you're comfortable with. So some participants would do it on a Saturday because there's no work. No? So they'll spend most of their Saturday, at least half day, going through the modules. Some participants would spread it out throughout the week. No? So for example, I'll schedule my module taking every TTH, maybe 5 to 6 p.m. or something like that. No? So I invite you to really think about a schedule that works for you. If you're a Google Calendar user, one very concrete tip is to put it in your calendar. I've started to do that because of the many things I needed to keep track of. But even, for example, I need to write, I'll put it in my calendar to make sure that I really set aside to do those things. No? So that's my invitation to you, no? That even if the 6 modules will be done asynchronously, uh, please make sure that you set aside some time. You carve out some time. If you can commit to that time, that will be great. No? All right. So the modules are flexible, but the general approximate that we have for each module is around 8 to 10 hours. No? Uh, that's honestly a high estimate. No, I think safe to say, if you look at the content of each module, if you were to go through the content, even if you were to engage in the activities, um, I feel like setting aside 3 to 4 hours will be enough. But a high estimate will be 8 to 10 hours, no, as reported to us by previous participants. Usually, it goes up to 8 to 10 hours because you might spend some time with your teams, which I will discuss later. No? So if you'll be working with your teams, sometimes it takes a little more time because you'll need to schedule a meeting like this, and you'll need to talk about your assignments together. No? If you're doing it individually, though, I feel like setting aside maybe 4 to 5 hours will be enough. Again, as long as you're able to commit to going through the modules in those periods of time. Apart from the asynchronous modules, we will also have 3 webinars like this. We know that in asynchronous learning, one of the challenges is there isn't an expert around to immediately answer your questions. No? We will have some ADL coaches who will be monitoring the discussion forums, who you can be in contact with in the next 8 weeks if you have any questions, clarifications, who will help you build on the insights on the exchanges in the discussion forums and the insights that are emerging within your cohort. No? But then we will also have 3 webinars to supplement the asynchronous modules. No? So one webinar focusing on writing competences, because that's one of the key skills in ADL. The second webinar on assessments. because again, that's one of another key skill. And the third webinar on designing learning experiences. No? So we've chosen these three webinars because they're really part of the core of what we do as teachers. So we thought that it'd be important to come together synchronously to have someone share more information, more tips, more strategies related to these things, but also to have an exchange of ideas. No? These will be opportunities for you to raise your questions, um, and share your ideas with a community that we're working with, or that we're learning with rather. Okay. All of these will happen in the span of 8 weeks. No? And I hope that in the email we sent to you, you started to browse through the study guide that we sent. No? The screenshot that I have here is actually from your study guide. If in case you did not get the study guide, I will post our email address over chat now. Please send us an email so that we can make sure that you have access to it. So it's salt@ateneo.edu. Okay. Uh, in the study guide, even if the modules are self-paced, I just want to point out that in the study guide, we identified a recommended pace for you. No? So again, it's a recommended pace, not a required pace. If you feel like this is too tight for you, that's okay. If you feel like you can do it faster, that's okay as well. But why do we require a recommended pace? The reason for that is, or first of all, number one, we just have an 8-week run. No? So we want to make sure that you pace yourselves accordingly to be able to actually complete in 8 weeks. The second reason is that our ADL coaches will be there with you throughout the 8 weeks, and they will refer to the study guide in terms of being more present. No? So for example, our agreement with our ADL coaches, with the team, is that within the weeks of the study guide, the presence will be higher as opposed to the other weeks. No? So for example, next week, since the target is to work on module 2 within the week, your coaches will be monitoring the activities of module 1 more than the other modules. So you can expect that within that week, they will be able to reply to you more. They will be able to look through your posts more. They will be able to share with you some things related to your posts more, so on and so forth. So in a sense, this is also our way of making sure that you don't go through this alone. You might feel like you're going through this alone a lot of times because the modules are self-paced. But then do know that you're not alone. At the very least, you have other people asynchronously going through the modules, easily around close to 50 people for each section, and 2 coaches who will be helping you out and help you process your experience. Okay? So if you can follow the study guide, I think that would be the best. If you need to veer away from the study guide, that's fine as well. But do know that if you need to get back on track, the study guide is the best way to, the best reference for you, just to know where people generally are. The study guide also shows you how the synchronous sessions interact with the asynchronous modules, because you'll notice that the topic for the synchronous session is very much related to the recommended modules that you should have been taking the previous week. So it's also our way of designing the learning experience for you. If you follow this, we feel like it's optimal. But otherwise, feel free to work at your comfortable pace. The next thing I'd like to briefly talk about is course completion. No? So I know that there are many different motives for joining the ADL course. I've heard that some have joined this course simply just to find out things like as a resource, no? As a resource for your teaching or your planning. That's fine. That's fine by us. No? But if you're here to complete the course and to gain a certificate at the end of the course, which we encourage you to do so, not just because we've designed a very nice certificate, but also because we feel like going through the assignments and the assessments is also very much part of the learning experience. No? That assignments for us are not just evaluations, but are also learning experiences in themselves. No? That as you go through the assignments, that's really where you get to process what you're learning in the modules, where you get to check how this is applicable in your particular setting. So just an overview, there are 6 assignments. Okay. Within each assignment, you will be asked to do either of the 2 things. No? You'll be asked to either do some design work. So for example, in the assignment on creating your assessments, we will invite you to create your own assessment for your own course. No? So I think this is what Father Johnny mentioned earlier in the introduction, as to hopefully the course does not add to your work, but rather hopefully the course helps you do your work, no? Because we know that you're also preparing for the upcoming semester, so we don't want you to look in a different direction, no? As you build your courses in the upcoming semester, we'd like you to bring that as material that you will use within the course, and hopefully the tips in the modules will help you actually do, let's say, make your syllabus as you see here in the artifacts, and build your Canvas modules later on. So I mentioned that in the assignments, you will either be invited to design or evaluate types of tasks, because we're quite aware that you come from different contexts, no? And this is quite different as opposed to our course run last year with the rest of the faculty, because at this point in time, you're pretty lucky if you've been handed down a course, so to speak, no? I think a good number of you will have this experience wherein your colleagues from the department, they've already created courses, they already have a syllabus, they already have a Canvas course, and they're actually giving you access to it for you to just customize and modify for your own courses, no? So if you're in that boat, if you're part of those who have been handed over some initial materials, initial course syllabus, initial Canvas modules or course on Canvas, then the work that you'll be doing in the assignments is really more reflective than anything, no? We will invite you to look at the existing material, reflect on the existing material vis-a-vis the principles introduced in the modules, and put on an evaluation hat, no? That if you were to look at the materials vis-a-vis the principles, what are the principles that you can actually identify in the existing materials? What are recommendations that you might have for improvement, no? Now, if you're designing a course from scratch, then your experience might be slightly different, no? So your experience might be actually building your course syllabus from start to end as guided by the modules, no? So do know that across the board, in this cohort, you may have two different types of experiences, both of them designed to help you process and contextualize whatever it is that you're learning in the modules. Okay? At the end of the course, there are two most important artifacts, which is your course syllabus, which at the end of the day, you will still need to do whether you're doing this course or not anyway, and your Canvas modules, no? Within your departments, you might have different demands from your department chairpersons, but at least as far as the ADL course is concerned, we will only require at least 2 built modules, no? And when we say built modules, that means that these modules should be ready to go for students, no? That at the end of this course, the modules that you come up with, at least 2 modules out of your whole set of modules in the course, should be student-ready modules, no? And hopefully, again, that helps you intersect the coursework with your actual work. In fact, in the 6th assignment, as you will find out on Canvas when you review the instructions, we will actually ask you to submit your course syllabus and give access to your modules to your actual department chairperson. Because at the end of the day, we recognize that although the course might share some guidelines and might have some perspectives about how to design a course or design learning experiences, at the end of the day, it will still be you and your department and your colleagues in the department and your department chair who will make those decisions ultimately, no? So as Father Johnny mentioned, do know that the intention of the course is not to prescribe, but rather to introduce principles for your decision making, no? So you may end up after the ADL course violating some of our principles. As long as you violate it intelligently, that's fine with us. As long as your violation is evidence-based, that's fine with us, no? Because one of the culture that we'd like to promote in the ADL course is really a thinking, teaching culture, no? That when we teach, we do not just teach based on our past experience, but we are very intentional with the specific things that we design for students to do, and we're very intentional with the things that we do ourselves, no? So if in case within the course you forget everything else, hopefully that's something you take away with you. That whenever you're doing something as part of your teaching, it's very clear to you why you're doing that thing. Or if you're asking students to do something, it's very clear to you what the purpose is as regards learning. Okay. Um, some logistics regarding this. No? The and this might complicate some things a little bit, but we'll try to help iron out these details in the next week. The assignments can actually be done individually or by teams, and we give you that option. So we've reached out to your department chairpersons so that they know that this is the list of takers from your particular department. We've communicated this to them. Uh, if you can actually work as a team, we encourage that, but we also know the constraints of online, no? That sometimes it may take more time. You're with people who you don't know really. And if you make an effort to come together as a team, it might delay your course taking. So we'll actually give you an opportunity to decide that for yourselves. No? So I'll ask Darren to post a link over chat now. And in that link, that is where we have the current list of groupings based on the form that you filled up. Now, our request from you is by Monday to please help us clarify the list. So I will share my screen to show you what the list looks like and what the instructions are as far as the list is concerned. So you will, if you click on the link, it will lead you to a list that looks like this, where you will see your name. So you will be able to see your name in either of the two sections of the course. What we'd like you to do by Monday is to help us identify correctly the group column. No? So for example, if let's say these two people, if both of you will be group mates or you would like to submit your assignment as a team, decide on a group name. Nothing fancy, any group name is fine. No? So for example, I'll just do a quick demo. For a while, let me just. Okay. So for example, if these two, let's for example, Finance 1 is your group name, and then the next person is also belongs to that group, please include the label Finance 1 as well, so that we can begin to see the groupings by Monday. No? So if you don't have a group name yet, you may want to reach out to the people you're grouped with so that you can just decide on what label to submit in this particular form. Let me just share my screen again. Okay, but the deadline is hopefully by July 19. So hopefully by July 19, by Monday, we have this in place. If you have any questions about groupings, please let us know. To be honest, we have no say about how you will group yourselves. We'd like you to be the ones to decide on that. But if you feel like you need to consult your department chairperson, please go ahead. Some department chairpersons have reached out to us saying that they have some sort of preference in terms of grouping and in terms of the course that you'll be working on. You may want to ask your department chairperson that question just to clarify with them. Okay, so we leave it up to you and your department chairpersons to decide as to who you'll be grouping with, what courses you'll be working on. What we'll just do is to make sure that we know if you're working as a group or individually. So just to address the question from Miguel here, no, can we indicate that we do it individually? Yes, no. So in fact, if you look at the form right now, if previously in the initial form we sent out to you, you indicated that you want to submit individually, you should see the word individual there. So if you're still submitting individually, just leave it as is. If that status has changed, then change that term to the group name. No? So for example, Finance 1, Accounting 1, and just make sure that everyone in the group uses the same label so that we can sort the groupings. All right, so thank you very much for posing some questions. Again, if you have any questions, just head over chat. I'll address this question from Sarah. Would there be a difference if you work individually or in a group? No. So the group assignments will still be the same. So the task will be the same, except that usually when you're working with a group, you will work on one particular course together. So for example, the main difference will be, for example, if you're doing Finance 11, and Finance 11 is the actual catalog number of your course. Throughout the course, your group will submit your work as you work on the course Finance 11. So even if you're teaching other courses. Of course, this is not to stop you from applying what you're learning in the ADL in your other courses, except that as a group, if you work as a group, we expect that your submission will be for one specific course. So if you're teaching different catalog numbers or courses, you may want to decide on which one to submit to the ADL. Okay. There are notes here. Okay, so I'll ask Darren to post the link again over chat for Raymond, who might have missed the link earlier. So when you see the link over chat, that's the link to the sheet that I showed you a while ago, where you will identify whether you're submitting as an individual or as a group. No? Okay. Okay, thank you. We will also email you the link after today's meeting, no? Because we know that we are 117, we're around 65 today. So this is not everyone. So we will also communicate these instructions with the people who missed today's meeting. Okay, let me address this question from Sabrina. Can we choose specific assignments only to do individually and as a group? Or once we choose group, we should do all assignments as a group? Good question. No? So the answer to this question is more technical than anything. What will happen when we receive your groups is on Canvas, we will actually set up your groups such that Canvas knows that when one group mate submits, it already acknowledges it as a submission for everyone in your group. So having said that, the answer is no. If you decide on doing this as a group, you'll need to do it as a group all throughout the course. Sorry for that constraint, but this will also help us logistically, so to keep track of your submission. So I hope you understand. But you will have ADL coaches, no? So even if you're working as a group and then you're working on your own course, and then you're working on a specific thing. So for example, you're writing your assessment and you want to get feedback on your assessment, feel free to reach out to your course, your ADL course coaches. No? You can share your assessment to them. What do you think about this? Or am I on the right track? No? So your coaches are there also for you on demand if you need some specific feedback on your own work. No? So given that the cohorts are big, what will happen is in your submissions, peer review will be enabled, meaning on Canvas, as soon as you receive, as soon as you pass an assignment, at least a day after, you will receive another assignment from someone in the cohort. Okay? And then you will be asked to review that assignment. Excuse me. You'll be asked to review that assignment. Excuse me. Na-zombie na ako. Galing ako sa isa pang meeting. You'll be asked to review that assignment based on the rubric that we provide. No? So that's the first source of feedback that you will get for your assignments. The second source will be from your coaches. No? I'd have to say, though, that since we're managing a large cohort this time, we didn't really expect this many people to sign up, but we wanted to accommodate everyone. But as a consequence of that, what will happen is from your coaches, though, you will get holistic feedback for the cohort. No? So your coaches will be reviewing a sample of different submissions, and then based on their review, they will give holistic feedback to the cohort saying, for example, we noticed that when you wrote competences, these are common challenges that we saw. And here are some tips. Or we noticed that everyone was able to write well-written objectives, so on and so forth. So the coaches will give holistic feedback to everyone. If you're really very unsure about what you're doing, again, we encourage you to reach out to the coaches. No? So you can reach out to the coaches individually or on behalf of your group if in case you need any formative feedback along the way. But as far as the assignments are concerned, don't necessarily expect individual feedback from the coaches, but expect that the coaches will review a sample of assignments and give holistic feedback to the whole cohort. Okay, yes. So thank you, Christina. So if what is in the sheet is accurate, that if you're doing individually, if your groups are accurate, then that's okay. No need to affirm. We will assume that after Monday you've seen it, and that's it. So we don't need an affirmation from you. Just find time to look at the sheet. If this is okay with you, you can close the sheet. If there's something that needs to be edited, please edit it. All right. Thank you. Any other questions about groupings and assignments? No? We won't go into the nitty-gritty detail of the assignment today because I don't want to keep you for a very long time. But when you get on Canvas, all of the assignment instructions are actually already there. So you can take your time reviewing them. And at any point in time, if you have questions about instructions, clarifications about what is expected, you can reach out to your coaches regarding those. Okay. So if in case you have any other questions, just head over chat. I'll just move to the next slide. I think we're nearing the close of our agenda, and we'll do a Q&A at the end also if there is something that comes to mind then. Okay, so we'll now talk a little bit about registration since that's where most of you are. Based on the emails that you sent us, we actually began to invite people already. So for those of you who have an active Canvas account, an active Ateneo Canvas account, please log in and then you should receive an invitation from us. No? So when you log onto Canvas, there should be a green bar on top saying you've been invited to join the ADL, Adaptive Design for Learning course, so on and so forth. Okay, so just click on accept. And as soon as you click on accept, you should see the course on your dashboard. Um, there are occasions though wherein we might not have been able to get you into the course yet. No, in what we've seen, a couple of you don't have an ADMO email yet. No, so we've actually reached out to department chairpersons who've expressed this challenge, and the resolution here is to request from ITRMO a temporary email that you can use for Canvas. No, so we're sorry that we're not able to accommodate your personal Gmail accounts because personal Gmail accounts are not allowed within the Ateneo Canvas platform. No? I know that it is a hassle, but trust us that this is a hassle now, but this will be better for you in the future. Because what will happen is if you don't have an Ateneo email account and you request for a temporary account from Ateneo, what will happen is in the course taking, you'll use the temporary account. But as soon as your official Ateneo email account is ready, okay, and you actually submit that to our Canvas team, the Canvas team will literally just change your username, change your user to your official Ateneo account. And everything that you did using your temporary account will still be there. So for example, if you use your temporary account to create your course on your sandbox, to experiment with creating some materials there, nothing will be lost. No? The only thing that will change in the first semester is your login. You just won't log in using your temporary email anymore. So that's really the rationale for sort of forcing this policy that you get an Ateneo email account so that your transition to the first semester will be seamless. No? And we've seen how challenging it is if you will still need to transition otherwise. Okay. So there's a question here from Sarah. The ADL shell in Canvas will be where we will be accessing throughout the course. Yes. So when you are given your account, you should see at least two things. Number one, you should see the ADL course. No? So maybe I'll share my screen later to show you what it looks like. You should see Adaptive Design for Learning. It will be pretty obvious that that's the ADL course. But apart from that, you should also see a sandbox. No? It's usually called your name's sandbox. So for example, Galvin Ngo's sandbox. Now your sandbox is an empty shell. It's literally a place wherein you can experiment and to try to build your own course where students will never be able to enter. No? So it's really your library, your own personal library where you can begin to experiment. No? So inside your sandbox, you can create your modules, you can create your materials, and then when your actual course shells arrive, usually this happens a few weeks before the semester begins. So for example, if you're teaching COM 111, a few weeks before the semester begins, upon registration, you will begin to see a new shell on your dashboard that says COM 111. And if you've made some things on your sandbox, you will just need to transfer them. So for example, you made module 1 on your sandbox already, you will just need to copy that into your official course, and students will now begin to see that. No, so your sandbox is really your own personal library, and we will encourage you to actually use that if you don't have your course shells yet, which is probably the case for most, if not all. See, I'll answer some questions here. For Raymond, yes. So to get to Canvas, thank you, Prixie. You can go to ateneo.instructure.com or canvas.ateneo.edu. Okay. So I'll also show a trick, and this is usually how most people access Canvas. If you're in your Ateneo email, you can also click on those six circles over there on the upper right corner. I'm sorry. Okay. And then when you scroll down, there's actually a logo there that says Canvas. Okay, so when you click on Canvas, sometimes it does this. No? It asks you to just choose your account if you're managing several accounts. And then automatically you'll get inside Canvas already. Okay, so you don't even need to remember the URL. As long as you're able to get into your email, albeit the temporary Ateneo email, you can do that. No? So I'll just do that briefly again. On the upper right corner, click on the nine circles, scroll down, look for that Ateneo Blue Cloud icon, and then it brings you to the canvas. Okay, so this is the dashboard that I've been talking about a while ago. On your dashboard, you should see something like this, no? Your Add Moduli section A, if you're part of section A, or Add Moduli section B. So you'll just click on that to enter the course, and that's pretty much it. So you have your course homepage. you have your announcements on the top, and you have your modules on the left. So when you click on the modules, you could just click through the outline to go from one page to another. Okay. If you're new to Canvas, let us know. What we'll do is maybe over email, Darren, we can also share some tutorials, basic tutorials on how to use Canvas as a student, so that that will guide you in your navigation. Okay. But we've done our best to design the course to be user friendly. If it isn't, give us some feedback. We redesign it a little more so that it becomes more user friendly to everyone. So this is the sandbox that I was telling you about. So apart from the ADL course, you will also see a sandbox there. So when you click on your sandbox, you can actually build your own course there. No? So as you can see here, I'm teaching a class right now called EDOC 251. It's a graduate class on media and technology applications. So I use my sandbox to build content, and then I copy the content to my actual course. No? So for example, here, my actual course is actually here. So this is where my students are, the actual media and technology course. So when I want to draft content, I draft it in my sandbox, and then I push it to my actual course if I want students to see it already. At least that's my workflow. You may have a different workflow, to each his own, but just something for you to consider when you see these things on Canvas. Okay. Okay. Let me also answer another question here before we go to the meet the team. What is the requirement to get into Canvas? Okay, so the requirement is an at Ateneo account. If you already have an at Ateneo account, even if it's a temporary account, and you still cannot get into Canvas yet, please email us. No, please email salt@ateneo.edu. Okay. So from Joy, is there a separate sandbox for ADL? No, we will not have a separate sandbox for ADL. Everyone just has a personal sandbox. No? So that will be your sandbox forever. Even after the ADL course, you'll continue to have access to that sandbox. So that can be your own repository. If in case, let's say you'll be handling several sections in the first semester, and you really need an additional sandbox. No? You really can't manage within one sandbox because it's so messy. You're teaching 5 different courses. I'll post the email to the Canvas help desk. No? So it's canvas.ls@ateneo.edu. Okay. So just send an email to the Canvas help desk to tell them that you will really need another sandbox. No? In the course of the year, just to let you know, faculty usually they're usually able to manage with one sandbox. Again, because that's not their actual course anyway. That's really just a repository, right? And usually after the first run, so for example, after the semester wherein you already have ran your course for one go, then your previous course actually becomes another sandbox, right? So for example, the course that I ran this course last year. So my course last year will continue to be accessible to me as a teacher, and I can continue to draw resources from a course that has been closed. No? So if you're worried about keeping your materials from one semester to another, don't worry about that. No? As long as you have a course, you taught a course, even after the semester, you'll continue to have access to those courses and any resources that you've created in those courses. Sorry to be veering away a little bit from our agenda, but you have very interesting questions here. And yes, maybe in the coming weeks, we might have some more Canvas-related questions, most especially for new faculty. We're working with TFI right now to see how that might look like. We know that you'll also need support on the technical end, right? On how to actually build courses on Canvas. So we'll let you know of those other opportunities. I was told to choose Canvas for affiliates for non-admo email. I previously had Canvas account using my personal account. Sige. So Nick, if I hope you don't mind sending us an email about your situation. We'll try to resolve it for you. We'll reach out to the help desk also to find out what happened there. Because there are some nuances in context. For example, if there are some people here from CCE who are part-time teaching and you're not able to get an Ateneo account, we might have some exceptions on the Ateneo email rule. But more than anything, we'd like to move everyone towards the Ateneo email. So Nick, let us know what you're encountering so that we can troubleshoot it for you. Okay, so we're nearing the end of our orientation, but before we end, I just want to make sure that I do this, that throughout the 8 weeks, again, we'd like to overemphasize that you're not alone. There will be a team that will be supporting you. I will be managing the cohort. I'll be working with your coaches to make sure that if there are any management related questions, I will be able to help them sort through them. But the main people who will be closely working with you in your sections are your coaches. No? So I just want to give some time for the coaches to just briefly introduce themselves. So coaches, can you please turn on your videos and then I'll just call you one by one and give you some time to introduce. Sige. So,
Alv, I think Miguel has a question. Not sure if it was covered already.
okay, okay, sige. So maybe we can do the introductions and then I'll answer the question before we end. You can start, Von.
Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Von Katindoy. I teach with the philosophy department and I'm grateful for the opportunity to revisit the ADL with you and also learn from you in the process. So looking forward to being of assistance and of service to you in the next 8 weeks. See you.
So Von is one of our coaches for Section A. The second coach for Section A is Marian. Marian, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So, like Vaughn, I'm looking forward to working with our section, especially because um, it's different. We're both from the School of Humanities, and um, we're excited to learn from everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Marian. Our next coach is Mark for Section B.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark from the philosophy department, and just like the two coaches before me, I'm happy to revisit the ADL course with you and to learn from you. I'm grateful because I was assigned to the one who has the most SOH new hires and returning faculty. So, but I'm still willing to learn from everybody. Thank you.
And last but not the least, Prixie, who will be working with Mark for Section B.
Hi everyone, I'm Prixie. I'm from the English department. I'm glad also, like Mark and everybody else, I'm glad to be here with you. We all took ADL last year and I'm excited to revisit it because I'd also like to continue learning how to be more adaptive in my own learning designs. I'm glad to meet everybody here and I'm looking forward to the next 8 weeks.
Thank you very much. So maybe just a virtual round of applause for our coaches who you will virtually learn with in the next few weeks. Uh, when we say learn with, no, we're very intentional with the words that we use. No? So we literally mean learn with. No? And as you notice, your coaches come from different disciplines that might be similar or different from yours. No? So I just want to emphasize, and also for the coaches' sake, that do know that the coaches will coach you ADL wise. No, they're not here to coach you content wise because we know that you're the content experts. But they have been working with us closely in the ADL, and so we're very confident that they will be able to guide you in terms of the ADL principles. No? Okay, so maybe before we close, thank you very much, coaches. Before we close, I'd just like to address one question, um, and then there's someone who raised their hands. I'm not so sure if you really did or that was a clap of hands. But anyway, so there was one question about timing. No? So yes, so unfortunately, because of initially we really wanted to time it such that the course ends before the first semester. As you can see, our last few weeks spill over to the first semester, which may mean that you already actually have your syllabus, you already have some modules already before the first semester. No? But so the decision point for us in the design team was to cram everything before the first semester, but to space things out as we actually did in the next 8 weeks. No, so we decided on the latter because we feel like it's important for you to spend some time, but we also understand that it's possible that in the last few assignments, it's sort of like post-mortem, no? That you've already submitted a syllabus already, or you already started to create some modules, but then you'll need to modify them or you'll need to adjust them based on the ADL. No? So if we look at our course schedule, maybe that's something we can look at together. So if you look at our course schedule, we know that the first SEM begins at the end of August, no? And at that time, we're still here. Okay. So unfortunately, this might mean you will make some decisions pre-ADL wise, but hopefully this is an invitation for you to review those decisions already. No? So I know this is not ideal. This is not ideal. We tried to push for an earlier start, but then registration kept on dragging on, and we couldn't really begin the course prior to everyone being able to register. No? So that is an unfortunate situation, but we'll try to do our best to work within those constraints. Are there any other questions? Pixie, did you want to say something?
Um, no, no,
Okay, thank
sorry,
you.
no. I just mentioned that comment also about the delay in the mismatch between the schedules.
Right, right, right. Yeah, we recognize that there is a delay.
Yeah.
We're sorry for that, but unfortunately, our situation didn't allow us to meet the optimal the optimal timeline. No?
But it was like that also when we took ADL last year. There was that slight mismatch, and
Right.
it will work. It
Yeah.
will work.
Okay, it's now close to 12 and I don't want to keep everyone for longer. So thank you very much for spending some time with us. In true ADL fashion, this is a practice that we also try to keep. No, we always, as much as possible, try to start and end on time. No? So we will appreciate that in the coming webinars, you do come on time because we will always try to keep our promise to end on time. Sorry, may pahabol. There's another question. Darren will post the link to the sections again. Sorry, you mean sections, not grouping. The section, you will only see one course in your dashboard. So whatever course you see, that's your section. No? So you will not see two sections. So you won't be confused as to which section, whatever section you will see, that's the section assigned to you, and just stay there, no? And continue to learn from the people in your cohort. All right. So thank you very much for spending some time with us this morning. We look forward to engaging with you throughout the ADL course. Again, your coaches will be there with you. Feel free to reach out to them. They will be introducing themselves explicitly in Module 0. So watch out for that and their pretty pictures in Module 0. And yeah, no, just they will be your conduit from this point on. They will be your liaison from this point on. So any concerns from this point on, please feel free to reach out to them. And if they need to elevate it to us at SALT, because it's not something within their scope, then they will. No? They will be the ones to help us to do that. So thank you. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. If you have any other registration questions, please feel free to send us an email. Maraming salamat and enjoy the weekend. Hopefully you get some rest as well. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.